Let's hit it. All right. So let's hit it. I got everything I need. Oh, no, all right, I got everything I need. So let's talk about this Rossum and this Isla thing, especially the Rossum, because I don't want to be unfair to Isla about it.
To what?
Turning on my volcano, and just like Dan Sky, did we work together with Dan Sky at one time from Skylab Studios? Did I find a way to connect those dots somehow? Yeah, and I'm nothing bad. I love Dan, man, and he was one of the main engineers in on a lot of the sessions I did with Tony back in the late '90s. And I'm going to pull a Tony before we start talking about this SP-1200. If you ever get to the end of a session, it's been some time on the clock, and it's like, you do scratches? Scratches for the joint? Like, I'm gonna need the bong for this. Cream, get the bong. That's his dog's name. Get the bong. Oh, get the bong. Right? So right now I got to get my volcano warmed up for the rest of the conversation. So
Okay.
and I'm just to dabble a little bit. And I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Even Phillies. I don't smoke blunts or any of that stuff anymore. I don't even smoke weed anymore, man. Like, I just vape, but I don't even smoke anything or ignite anything. But I still dabble in hard vices from time to time. And I decided for a morning like this, when I need a little kick in the ass, I'm going to buy a Wilson's and Shero snuff made in England. All you Euros know plenty about this kind of stuff. And this stuff is called Best SP.
Best SP, okay. Bring it on.
And if you had to think real hard about the products available today on eBay, if you were a producer that had fetishized and fantasized about owning an SP-1200 for most of your life, not bad, most of your life, right? What would be the best SP to buy in 2021? What are your thoughts about the current world of SP-1200 and where we stand today versus where we might have stood a year ago or 10 years ago, when we first started working together with them?
Well, it's very, very, very exciting to hear that there's a new SP on the market, 2021 version with I believe it's 20 seconds sampling time, the best SP. Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, prices on eBay are so high for SP-1200. And I believe the new one is 4K, is it?
Yeah, it's 4K, and I've honestly not seen it that cheap for a brand new one since the issue. Because the used ones were cheap for a while. Like downtown Trenton, downtown was like they had all these pawn shops, and I remember taking the bus. As somebody in my 20s, and then later in my 20s when I was driving my car, Toyota down there, that would be famous for SPs because people would they exchange their equipment, right? And in like the late 90s, an SP-12 was like, that might as well have been like a fucking Sega Genesis, right? You know what I mean? When you're trying to trade it in for money, it's not worth anything anymore, right? So to see it go up to like $10,000, and you paid a lot less. I paid a lot less when we bought ours, right? So this
and even I paid more than you did. Remember? Yes. I mean, I believe I paid more than you did back then because I got it 1 year after you.
Yeah, and it became inaccessible. Now to the point where it became inaccessible. So this other company, Isla, and I don't want to get into deep. Whenever I mention that word, and by the way, I think it's freaky because it's kind of like it's like almost like a cancel culture kind of thing. I can't even talk about I can't even talk about the Rossum one without the people from Isla getting pissed off at me, right? So because if you go on my video announcing the Rossum thing and being really excited about it, it was genuine excitement. I just found out about it, at the time. I just read it that moment. I get like 30-40% dislikes on my video, and I'm wondering what I could have said in there that was so bad. And I think it's just because that company came in with some kind of solution. I think many people adopted it, or many people adopted at least the idea of it, right? And then anybody talks bad about something that they've invested thought or excitement in, then they don't like that, because that's a strike against that person who invested time or energy or money. But because of my time with this SP and doing this stuff for so long, I felt like I had some foresight to say, huh. But if they ever do that, if they just duplicate what they had as best as they could, this will be useless now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this does all that, but it also has the limitations, and it also speaks to the nostalgia, and it speaks to like our hearts. And this kind of equipment, there's a certain chord you have to strike in order to really, have a balance between the old and the new, and have that, the sequel be as good as the first kind of thing, right? And
Yep.
whatever, I'm not bad mouthing them, because as I went back, I realized that more with that topic, I was more and more just instigating. After a while, I was just didn't like the fact that people were being such pricks about me having an opinion. So I was just, tripling, quadrupling down. I think there are people that are going to be buying that because it's like probably half the price, right? So realistically, moving forward, we're no longer two of the only 20 people in the world seriously working on an SP-1200 like we were 10 or 12 or 13 years ago, when all our idols were picking up fucking mouses and saying, screw that old shit, right? I can use this filter, right? Remember when everybody, I remember when everybody was like, even the old heads were like in their 50s. I remember when people I grew up with were like, nah, man, I'm making it on my laptop now, and that was a thing,
Everybody does know, yeah.
Yeah, and it was weird to use an SP-1200, and now they're through the roof, right? So I can't help, if you look back on the internet and look at like 2009, 10, or 11, me doing those videos, tutorial videos, I can't help but thinking I had some foresight into there being a market and a level of interest in this coming back. Maybe like the arcade business a little bit. So we're not alone anymore, right? It's not like a thing that we want to be fair to Isla about anything. And look, for the record, those Rossum people are class acts. Anything that I say as a joke goes to me, because I don't never seen them say a damn thing bad about anybody else in the company. But you have to wonder how that SP or S got dropped off the 2400, because I remember earlier advertisements, it was being more heavily advertised as like a, as something connected to the SP. So maybe the fact that they were doing that anniversary edition last year, or maybe that the new one was coming out, there was some kind of a discussion about not. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Guesswork here. Why they dropped? Why is it just 2400?
Yeah, you can't know. You can't know. But still, the new SP is an absolute beauty. I mean, it just looks beautiful. It's got 20 seconds of sampling time. I believe it's made from the same parts than the original one. Is it?
I'm not sure. I mean, as far as the actual hardware, like I think that they're making it to look exactly alike. I think that it looks very similar. I saw, like, for example, just to be fair, in the press photos, I could see from a distance the pads, the concave buttons of the black buttons, right? It almost looked like it had like underneath it, like kind of an X underneath the buttons, like the impression of it, like an X. Look at the pictures. It looks kind of like almost like an X impression instead of like a smooth concave. I'm not busting the balls. I'm just saying that it looks like maybe they manufactured new parts. And like I said, I'm just guessing, but maybe they're comparable. They're just not the exact same. Maybe they didn't get the factory running from 89 to 90, right? You know what I mean? Maybe they're getting them done a different way or something. I don't know. It looks similar.
But is it still 12-bit? It is, right?
Well, I'm the wrong person to ask when it comes to the innards of the equipment, because I always say I want to be all wise, right, and exact, but it comes to a thing where if you put me in a room with test tubes, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm not going to be able to learn overnight, right? And I don't relate to these machines in that way. Where some of these guys on the internet relate to the machines with all the numbers and stuff like that. I'd be able to hear it if you played it for me. I said it's Rossum. I spoke with my heart, like, oh, the Rossum did it. And so maybe that's not always the right way to judge things, right? But I don't know.
Well, but sometimes it is. Also, if I had the money, I'd buy 2 copies because it's limited to 2, but I'd buy them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a sore subject, man. It's like I own my land, no bank, no nothing, right? But during COVID, I had to make a lot of changes in my life where before I'm in the Bay Area, rolling with 2 locations, I had to move and duck aside for a year And, I have the money to buy them, but I don't feel responsible buying two, especially not two, in a year where I have a completely unpredictable business atmosphere. We're
I
just
get it.
last
Yeah.
year, we were forced closed by the government, so but I feel like it's still a good investment for anybody who was in the market for something like that, so I don't want it to be a reflection that I didn't get a pre-order, and I don't want it to be a reflection on how much I think the product is good. It's just me personally, I already have an SP-1200 original, so it's just I don't feel
Yeah.
good about forking over 4K for another one. You know what I mean? But when I heard that 20 seconds, I said 20 seconds in one of those old videos. That's how long it should be when they had like the unlimited sampling time or a trillion seconds, because of the fact that you need to put a cap on it for creativity, right? And the fact that they chose to do that when it would have been so easy for them to open it up and make it more modern, but they resisted every temptation, right? Because so many people are going to give them shit for that. Like, all
Yeah.
the little Similac kids they're unable to sample, in under 60 seconds of time, right? They need everything chopped for them at the snare when they load it in the machine, right? They could have fed that audience, right? And they probably
Yeah.
could have reduced the price and had a much more successful payday off of all this, right? But they chose instead to serve our audience, and I just love and respect them so much for that, because they listened
That's true.